I grew up the daughter of a West Texas Baptist preacher. I felt like I was always had to be performing. I was always on stage. You know, we lived in a glass house. Everything we did as a family or that I did as a child was being watched by everybody else with like the most analytical eyes ever. And so if I didn't do something right, if I didn't make straight A's, if I didn't sing well in choir, you know, I was the preacher's kid. I felt a lot of pressure to conform to what the church's expectation was for me, and I felt like I couldn't be myself. I felt like I had to keep quiet and that I shouldn't bring up certain topics or questions because it could reflect poorly on my family or poorly on the church. And so I started hiding all of these things and keeping everything inside. It's fair to say that people's expectations really ruled my life. When I was 16, my dad was in the last church that he would ever pastor, and it was kind of one of those just really ugly political kind of business meetings, and the church essentially asked him to resign. And there was all this fighting, I mean, in the church, in the sanctuary, people are yelling at each other. And so I just said, how can you call yourselves a church when all you do is fight and show hate? And I was so done with church, I was done with God, I was done with my faith. And so I wrote a letter to God, and I just said, I addressed him as nobody, because to me, that's who he was. Dear nobody. And I just poured out my thoughts about, I don't understand why we always have to be perfect. I don't understand why people act this way. I'm done. And that was kind of the moment, I think, when I walked away from my faith. We moved to Dallas a few months after my dad left the ministry from a very small town in West Texas. And the culture shock definitely hit. And all of a sudden, I'm thrown into this city that has like 7 million people. And there's all this music that I've never heard and TV stuff that I've never seen and billboards, and a lot of it was very sexually oriented, which was not something that I had been exposed to because of the conservative upbringing. And all of these things just made me very, very curious. But after we moved to Dallas, I met a youth pastor. He was just about 10 years older than I was. In his mid-20s, I was 16, about to be 17. He asked me over to his place to watch a movie. It was obvious from the moment I walked into the door what was on his mind, and it wasn't watching a movie. And that was probably my first introduction to a lot of things, my first exposure to my own sexuality and to this relationship with this youth pastor. After about 4 months, he just kind of disappeared. He fell off the face of the earth. He didn't call anymore. He didn't email anymore. I never talked to him for weeks. And I just remember my heart sinking to the bottom of my stomach and the pain of knowing that I had given away so much of my innocence and who I was to this person that was just using me. He was just using me. It was probably the most painful moment of my life. And I actually turned to the computer for comfort. I typed in 3 little letters that would forever change my life. I typed in SEX and pressed enter. And out of the internet came these images and these videos and these stories, and in some way I was able to transport myself, this very emotionally broken, very physically broken 16-year-old girl, into what I was seeing online, into these images and into these fantasies. And for whatever reason, whenever I would project myself into what I was seeing, I felt loved. Porn really became my medication. My online addiction, my online habits started moving offline as well. And I remember just meeting up with guys I barely met, getting involved with them physically somehow. And one time, probably the most scary time where I had more of a wake-up call kind of moment, was I had met this guy at a restaurant. And the next thing I know, I woke up and I was half-dressed. I was laying on his couch. He was nowhere to be found. I looked for him all over his house. He was gone. And I had no idea what happened to me. So one day when I was probably close to about 20, 21 years old, I decided this is it. Like, this computer is the root of all of the evil in my life, and I'm going to get rid of it. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I prayed to a God that I still wasn't even sure existed. But I said, God, if you are out there, like, this is my rock bottom. I've tried everything to fill this hole. I've tried everything to fill this emptiness and this loneliness and this pain, and nothing is working. If you are out there, please, first, forgive me. Like, forgive me for the porn, for the guys, for everything, for the things I don't even remember. Just please forgive me if you can. And please just to help me get out of this lifestyle, because I just can't take it anymore. And I finally opened up my heart to this God that had been pursuing me for so long. And finally, through the love that other people showed me and through the grace that other people showed me, it fell down, and God found me again. Or I think he always knew where I was. I think I just let myself be found for the first time in a very long time. And I was finally just surrendered to his will and to a freedom that I knew that he was calling me to.